Hi, hello, and welcome to my best attempt to look like a Daisy Jones and the Six character. I was gonna film a different video this week, but then I watched the finale of Daisy Jones and the Six, and I haven't stopped thinking about it since because they really did that show dirty. That's very impressive. Also, she has a haircut. I don't know how I feel about it, but it's on my head, so. I started watching the Daisy Jones and the Six TV show before I read it. And I know that it was like really popular and a lot of people love the book. A lot of my friends have been telling me to read this book for like an eon. I just am not a huge fan of Taylor Jenkins Reid's. I've read 2 or 3 of her books and for the most part I feel like they're fine. I was hesitant to read Daisy Jones and the Six because I didn't think I would like it. I did start watching the TV show and I really liked it. And all of my friends were like, the TV show is terrible, you have to read the book, it's a completely different thing, the book is so much better. I'm used to hearing that whenever a book gets adapted into like a movie or a TV show, but I decided I would give it a try because currently I'm on a fantasy hiatus. I'm not reading any fantasy. I think that me starting to read Daisy Jones and the Six halfway through watching the TV show was a really great choice, and if you haven't read Daisy Jones and the Six, I would recommend you doing it that way. That way at least you have an appreciation for both entities because they really are so different, and I don't think that the TV show is bad, I just don't think that it's the book. I'm not going to nitpick every single thing that they change in the TV show because for one, it would be a 3-hour long video, and for two, it's an adaptation. I'm willing to let some things change. You don't have to have a perfect replica of the book to like movie or book to TV show to make it good. That being said, what they changed in the TV show was strange. It was weird choices and unnecessary choices. So I just want to talk about some of the biggest changes to me. I don't have a huge issue with the plot. They did change a lot of things about the plot, but I have a main issue with like characters. For example, the band is called The Six because there are 6 members. The TV show didn't add a member. They just took Pete and did not include him, which is a strange choice. Not that Pete was like the most, like he didn't make the most contributions to the book or anything like that. Like he wasn't like a huge person in the interviews or anything, but he was still a member. And they even address it in the TV show. They go, well, how can we call ourselves the Six? We don't have 6 members. But you do have 6 members. That's why you're called the Six, because there are 6 of you. So I don't know why they did that. I'm also a little annoyed. This is gonna have a lot of spoilers, just so you know. Pete was one of the bigger reasons that the band splits. Not one of the big reasons on why the band crumbles, because you can see it from the very beginning that this band is going to destroy itself, but he's the first person to say, yeah, after this tour, I just kind of want to go back to my girlfriend in Boston. I'm kind of over it. He's the first person to leave, which then makes Eddie go, yeah, why am I here dealing with Billy? I'm leaving too. I just think it's interesting that they didn't include him because I can't think of a good reason why they wouldn't include him. That's like my first main problem. My second problem is, in the beginning, it really does do the like mockumentary, lots of interviews. At around episode 5, it just seems they decided to have no interviews. There's a total of probably 10 minutes of interview total per an hour-long episode, which is strange. I kind of wish that they had made it into a movie. It just feels halfway through they decided, but really only people care about the Daisy and Billy story, so that's really all we're going to give them. We're not going to do the interviews or anything like that. They probably made it 20 years because it's easier to age up an actor 20 years than to age up an actor like 40 or 60 years or however many it was in the book. But I think that it takes away from a lot of the self-reflection that the characters had to do, if that makes sense. It also takes away from the ending because at the end of the book, we know Camilla dies. The whole like thing is that Billy chose Camilla and he was a good husband to her, or tried to be, and she had a long life with her husband and then said, you might as well go message Daisy because I know that there's something there for you too. Now that you both have healed, because let's understand, if Daisy and Billy got together, when they were in the band, they would have destroyed each other. With it being only a 20-year gap, it just, I mean, they did Camilla really dirty in this, and I will have a whole discussion on how bad they did Camilla. I'm just talking about plot points that they changed that I think are weird. Having it only 20 means that they don't have enough time to reflect on their years. And also, just the fact that they kill off Camilla super early so that he can end up with Daisy even earlier. I know that they just did it because it's hard to age up actors that long, but it just, I think they should have just not included that bit. My last big issue is, it's not that they didn't kill Teddy off, I understand not wanting to kill Teddy off. Killing Teddy, right, in the book was a huge catalyst for a lot of the characters to go away. Like, that was one of the bigger catalysts for the band to start to break apart. Because they go on a break, Daisy almost overdoses, and has the realization that she's throwing her life away, kind of, and that she needs to get herself back to a healthier drug use. Billy is like fighting his alcoholism and addiction with all he's worth now, and it's even harder it's like really a growing point for him as a character. Not killing him off takes away a lot of the reasons that you can see the band start to fall apart. And that's one of the problems, is that in this TV show, you don't see the band falling apart. In the book, around the halfway mark, it is obvious that if things didn't end at this album, they would not have made it to the second album. I'm not saying that you have to have an entirely accurate book to movie adaptation, but you should at least try. I feel like the writers remembered reading this book when it first came out and figured that they wouldn't need to read it again and that they could just write the script from memory. With a lot of books, I can understand why. Same way they take a little more creative decision making, but this book is basically written in a play format. Like, each character has a line, and that's how the entire book is. So you are kind of given a script. And that's the nice thing about a TV show, is that you can take as many episodes as you want to make sure that the adaptation is correct. My issues with the characters is I feel like they made them very surface. It's funny because in the book, all of the band members are like, this is just the Daisy and Billy show, and all anyone ever cares about is Daisy and Billy, and we want our credit, and we want our representation. And then in the TV show, it's just the Daisy and Billy show, and they literally change everything else in the plot so that it can revolve around Daisy and Billy trying to get together. Let's talk about what they did to Daisy and Billy, because I think it's a very interesting change. For Billy, I was very annoyed in the early beginning of the show when the Dune brothers are going on their first tour, right? And he starts to have really big problems with addiction, and he's cheating on Camilla and all of that, right? In the TV show, he says he doesn't remember anything that happens in the tour. And in the book, he goes into heavy detail being like, I got really addicted to drugs and I was really having a hard time handling myself and I had to go to rehab and now I am better and da 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 da. And I think it's so much more powerful that he discusses like, yeah, I did some bad things. This is the struggle I had to go through and all of that. Like, why take away his character? Because a lot of his character is trying to make up for that tour to Camilla. Trying so hard to be a better person because of how horrific he feels about that tour. For the rest of it, I feel like they made him kind of, Billy in the book is not a great character, albeit. I would agree that Billy is not a great man in the book. He's so in his own head that he doesn't even realize what he's doing might be upsetting to other band members. When all of the band is upset because he re-recorded parts and took out parts and changed things, he would have no idea that the band members are upset. Because in his head, he's like, well, I did what's best for the album. And everyone wants this album to be good. I simply did what I had to do. I don't know why they would be upset with me. So it's like kind of forgivable. It's not forgivable. He's a bad character, but it's better than in the TV show. It feels malicious. I feel Billy in the TV show purposely just doesn't care about anyone else other than him. They make him into this man who is obsessed with Daisy, and it wasn't the amount of romantic interest that they made in the book. Billy did not cheat on Camilla. That was the whole point, is that he chose to be with Camilla. He did not cheat on Camilla at all, ever. They never kissed. Daisy and Billy never kissed in the book. And so it's upsetting because why make him horrible? I'm not rooting for Billy. And in the book, I was kind of rooting for Billy because I could see the struggles Billy was going through. So it feels like they just took Billy and made him someone that you don't want to root for, also a horrible person. It's interesting because I feel like they just took away so much of the female characters, and like each person in the book is going through their own thing, which is what makes the book so interesting, is because you're getting all of these sides and all of these struggles in a very easy to read format because it's basically a play. Daisy in the show exists to complement Billy, essentially, in my interpretation, because in the show she's nothing until she joins the Six, and in the book she's been getting modeling gigs since she was 15. She had an album out, she already went on tour, she already had her own fan base and popularity, which is why the record label decided to pair them together, because they figured Daisy would complement the Six and their combined fan base would equal a bigger fan base. So it's interesting that they just made Daisy this girl who just like wants to be something and isn't anything until Billy. I didn't like that. I also didn't like how obsessed they made her with Billy. For example, in the book, she misses something at the studio, like a recording session or something, I'm not entirely sure, because she is partying. And this kind of in the book shows that she is not doing too well, but she doesn't miss it for any malicious reasons. She misses it because she's chaotic and addicted to drugs and partying and stuff. But in the TV show, she's talking to this dude who is interviewing the band, and he says, "Oh, well, Billy told me that your guys' chemistry is all an act." And she's so upset by this because she's so in love with Billy that she decides to get drunk and miss the recording session because she's just so hurt that Billy isn't in love with her. I just don't understand why they made the two female characters, Camilla and Daisy, who are so strong in the books, revolve around Billy, who isn't even likable in the TV show. You can give them their own storylines. You don't have to cut out their heart to make it more dramatic by making it a love triangle. It really adds to it. But I wanted to watch a fake mockumentary of a band. I didn't want dramatics. I wanted a fake mockumentary of a band because I think that's a cool concept. One of my main problems with Daisy, other than the fact that, you know, she had her own career before this and they just scrapped that in the TV show, is when Teddy has a heart attack, Daisy goes to hang out with her husband, Nicky, in Italy or wherever they're going, and she overdoses and he puts her in the shower, and she wakes up in the shower and she's like, oh my God, what am I doing with my life? I'm married to a man who is spending all of my money on drugs, and I overdosed, and the first thing he thinks to do is put me in a shower. I'm going to die with him. So she breaks up with him, gets a divorce, cuts her hair, which, why didn't they give us Daisy in a bob? I'm a little upset. Daisy should have had a bob, and I'll stick to that. But then she comes back to the tour. She seems like she's doing so much better because she's cut back on the drugs. She's made rules for herself, so she can only have like these drugs then and this drugs then and stuff. So she's not sober, but she's so much better, and that was her. She made the decision. And in the TV show, Teddy never dies, so she overdoses on tour, and she wakes up in Billy's arms, and it's like, ah, Billy has saved her once again, because this girl can't do anything if it doesn't involve Billy. It just takes so much of her character away. At the end, when the band is crumbling apart and Camilla asks her to leave in the book, it's not because Camilla is worried that she's going to run away with Billy. That is not it at all. Camilla cares about Daisy, and Camilla's like, you need to get out of here, you need to leave. If you want to save yourself, you need to leave and you need to go to rehab, and I can help you do whatever you need to do, but like, you have to leave. She asked Daisy to leave not because she's a jealous wife like she is in the TV show, but because she doesn't want Daisy to implode on herself. And Daisy's like, you know what? I left because Camilla told me to leave and it was the best thing I ever did for myself. We love women supporting women, except the showrunners. The showrunners hate women supporting women. Karen was such a character that I loved. Loved Karen. Also, she doesn't go by Karen in the TV show, which is not like the worst change they did, but just a weird change. Why'd they do that? Karen is such a character that knows what she wants in the book. I don't like that in the TV show, Graham asks her out and she says no, and then Graham gets a girlfriend and she's jealous, and Graham cheats on his girlfriend with Karen while his girlfriend is sitting outside waiting for him to get back in the car. And that just makes Karen unlikable. To me, personally. I watched that before I read the book and I went, that's not great. Also, Karen getting pregnant and having an abortion was another moment that they took away from both her and Camilla, because the first person she calls is Camilla, and Camilla is like there for her. In the TV show, it's like Camilla's like, hey, what's wrong? And then like stares at Karen and is like, oh, okay. And then there's just like a scene of them both getting out of a car, and that's it. Whereas Karen confides in Camilla all the time. They're besties. She's like, hey, like I'm dating Graham, and Camilla's like, oh my god, yeah, love that for you. This is a great choice for both of you. So into it, so supportive of them. Why did we take away the women supporting women? And also, she knows what she wants so much. She's so definitive in the book, and they just take away so much of her. I have a problem with Pete's character. My problem with Pete's character is he wasn't there. Warren, I don't really have a problem with. Eddie, I don't like that they made Eddie and Camilla sleep together in the TV show. I think that was unnecessary. I also think that Eddie kind of sucks in this. He kind of sucks in the book as well. So I don't have that much to gripe with Eddie. Warren, great, amazing, perfect. Nothing to say about Warren. He is wonderful in the books. He's wonderful in the TV show. I do think it is annoying that they didn't make him get rid of his boat. I loved that the movie star was like, you live on a houseboat, and he was like, yeah, and she's like, okay, grow up and then maybe I'll date you. That's funny. That's so funny to me. I support it. Give us that. I think that would have been great. That's not my like biggest gripe. Simone is another, I'm saving Camilla for last, just so you all know. Simone is, I have mixed feelings about Simone. I liked that they gave her her own story. I think that that's fun. She doesn't really have a story in the book. I think it kind of takes away from the story of Daisy Jones and the Six, because this is about the band and now we have this whole other side plot. I do wish, however, that her own storyline didn't take away from who she was to Daisy, because she saw Daisy partying with rock stars at 15 and was like, no one is taking care of this girl and I need to protect her from both herself and the people around her. Simone is there for Daisy no matter what. In the TV show, they just aren't there for each other. Also, I understand why with the storyline they had that they made Simone just be a club owner with her girlfriend. However, you could have just made it so that the record label didn't mention, oh, well, you need to keep distance from your girlfriend because we hate gay people. If you're gonna have that storyline, Simone in the books was a disco icon. She was extremely popular. Both her and Daisy were extremely popular. So it's weird that they take away her success. It's not the worst choice, it's just a weird choice. And the fact that they have that fight in Italy and then Simone like doesn't talk to Daisy for like 3 episodes, because that just, the whole reason is so that she can lean more on Billy, because all we care about is Daisy and Billy getting together. Bring back my girls supporting girls. Why did this TV show say no women supporting women? On to Camilla. They did Camilla so dirty. They did her so dirty. She's such a pushover in the first like half of the season. Like, for example, when Billy goes to her house and says, oh, I've decided to move to California with the band, and she goes, and you just what, expect me to follow you? And he's like, yeah, I mean, kind of. And then she goes, no, I'm not gonna follow you everywhere. What do you think I am, some stupid puppy? They break up, and they are broken up for like half of a year, and that gives her character from the beginning a lot more than in the TV show, where they have the whole discussion where he says he's moving to California and she says, I'm not gonna follow you like a lost pup. And then the next scene is her hopping into the band being like, you guys have room for one more person? I'm coming with you. Because now she is the little puppy that follows him around. And in the book, she frequently would be like, do you think you can ruin my life with your stupidness? Billy's off moping about something and she's like, excuse me. I chose to marry a rock star, so get your crap together and go be one. Their relationships had so much trust. They both knew that they were going to choose each other at the end. Camilla was never jealous of Daisy. Why would she be jealous of Daisy? Because Billy wasn't interested in her. Like, they had a love for each other, and there's no doubt about it that, like, at some points they certainly had a romantic love. Billy even admits it, that he says, like, for 24 hours I was in love with Daisy and I decided to choose your mom. They took Camilla, who is such a powerful, holds the band together gal in the book, and made her this jealous wife. And the fact that they kill her off early so that Billy and Daisy can end up together at the end, I just don't have words. The scene where she's telling Daisy to leave in the book is so powerful because she really is like, you need to get some help. Like, she brings her to, I'm pretty sure she brings Daisy to rehab and is like, get help. And in the TV show, Daisy's like, he's gonna always choose you. And then Camilla's just like, you should leave. I can't deal with making Camilla a jealous wife because Camilla simply was not a jealous wife. Also, the fact that they have Billy drinking in the last episode, just, again, we're taking away from his character because he works so hard to be sober and he struggles with it so much, and he talks about how big of a struggle it is in the books, and I feel they just took all of his struggle away for drama. The scene in the book where a stranger helps him decide to not have a drink, the scene in the TV show is literally like a stranger buying him a drink and him getting hammered right before the Chicago show. And then telling Daisy that Camilla left him and that he wants to be broken with her. Hi, my camera stopped recording at the very last end of the video. So here's my final conclusion. The last two episodes feel very rushed. The reason that it feels so rushed is in the book, even from the Dune Brothers era, we can see that there's a lot of conflict with the band members and with Billy not agreeing on things about the album. When they make Aurora, there was all of this creative freedom that they thought they had, and then when they heard the final cut of the album, half of the things were removed or taken out or changed. Billy literally played bass over one of Eddie's parts because he thought it would sound better. So it's so easy to see it all collapsing in the book versus in the TV show. It just felt really rushed because last two episodes felt thrown together and they had already lost so much of the plot because they had changed so many things in order to make it more of a love triangle, drama-centered, who's going to end up with who kind of story. If you wanted to write a mockumentary of this love triangle for this hit band, you should have just written that and then not branded it as Daisy Jones and the Six. But I don't want to come across as one of those people who are like, it wasn't an exact replica of the book and therefore it's trash. Because again, there's some leniency. I'm not expecting it to be perfect. And I think it's fine to make some changes, especially some things just don't adapt well to screen, and that's okay. But I think that the changes they made were interesting choices and unnecessary choices. I do think that the TV show is good. I just don't think that it does the book justice. And I think that they had the opportunity to do the book justice and they just chose to change things for reasons unknown to me. But I would also love to hear your thoughts. If you liked it or if you didn't like it, or if you watched it and didn't read the book and had like a different appreciation for it than I did. But that's all I have for you guys today. I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day, and I will see you on the flippity flop. Peace, peace.